The Questions Hip Hop, Making Illmatic, another episode in this. Can I say it's a legendary series? We get a lot of people who hit us up and tell us that they enjoy it, so I think that's got to count for something. We're sipping teas, 2/3 of us here. I'm playing the current installation of, is it allergies, cold, or COVID right now? We're kind of early in the game, so we'll see what it is. But I'm your host, Sean Kantrowitz, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, MidaZ the motherfucking BEAST. What's good, MidaZ?
What's good? Busy weeks, but really excited to do this album. We did a string of albums that, because nobody knows when these things drop. So I'm gonna just say we did a string of albums that I don't love as much. So now we're gonna do an album that I love a lot, and it's gonna be stressful for me. So let's do it.
All right. I appreciate the ambiguity, and we'll never tell you which albums we like and we don't like. Look, we all have our blind spots, and there's going to be ones that really resonate with me, really resonate with MidaZ, really resonate with the guests, but there's an appreciation that exists there.
Of course.
And we're joined today by Mark from Top Shelf Premium. Obviously, Mark, first of all, welcome to the show. We appreciate you having you here.
Appreciate it. I met MidaZ a couple weeks ago at the shop. And his eyes lit up when I said this album was going to be the one. So it was like off the rip too. He was like, you want to have an album too? I was like, oh yeah, yes.
Well, obviously your opinion is valued very highly here. You are a great contributor to the culture, to a lot of music, a lot of behind the scenes thing, obviously with the brand as well. And today, the album that we're giving the Making Illmatic treatment is Sean Price's debut album, Monkey Barz, which was originally released June 13th, 2005 on Duck Down. It was part of their Triple Threat campaign. This was sort of the Duck Down movement that was happening at the time. You had Buckshot's Chemistry. You had Tech and Steel's Smith & Wesson Reloaded. And then this was the third album released in that campaign. So, Mark, why this album? Because we've sort of been there's sort of two ways, and we've spoken about this internally. Maybe this is the first time I'm going to say it externally. There's two ways we can kind of look at this Making Illmatic concept. One is we're taking an album that we think is great but could be better by trimming it to 10, and then there can also be cases where you can make the argument that it's so great that even if you cut it to 10, it still retains its classic status. So where do you sort of stand on it, and why did you pick this album?
To me, it's so great is because it was the era where it got me like solidified, like, okay, I'm this type of fan. You know what I mean? Like, I love hip hop. I'm a 90s kid. I'm a New York kid. My first album was, Biggie and Snoop Dogg and all that. But when I was in my early 20s, Sean Price, these are the shows that I would go to, and I would look at this man on stage like he was 10 feet tall. You know what I mean? So this album just packed a punch, and it just came immediately when I talked to MidaZ about doing an amazing album. But there's a few joints on there where sometimes I do hit skip.
Yeah. I think I would add, I think, when I originally came up with the idea for Making Illmatic, I think an album like this actually fits the original thought process really well, because my thought was, all right, Illmatic is 10 songs or 10 tracks, right? What about other 10 tracks? And what if those other 10, like if you were to kind of compare the best 10 songs on the Sean Price album, or the best 10 songs on the Cuban Links album, or the best 10 songs on the Snoop Dogg album, how do they hold up against the 10 tracks on Illmatic, which we kind of regard as the holy grail of hip hop albums as a culture, right? So like, I think this is an interesting one because it does have a lot. In an album, it's a great album, but it also has there's a lot of standalone. It's not like, it's just like it's a song and then it's a song and then it's a song. It's not so much like threaded in between and a whole bunch of stuff like that.
It could though. I mean, it does have a string, but there's a couple of joints in there that I feel like could be left out, that the string could be straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree and disagree.
Yeah.
That's the name of this podcast.
One other thought too, just to go back to Sean, when you teed up the 3-album series and everything, like this was an ill time in indie hip hop and everything. Cause like I think about me and where I was. What year was this? Was this 05?
05.
Yeah. I think about where I was at in 05. Like, you talking about like just rediscovering like that there was ill stuff out there, right? Because we went through. I would love to do like a documentary or watch a documentary on like 2000 to 2005. Like, the hip hop was in such a, as far as hip hop goes, it was in such flux of like, what are we doing? It's after the bling era, but it's like the ringtone era and all of that crazy stuff is going on. And like, I think the independence was just trying to figure out where to fit in with all of this stuff. And there were a lot of artists that from the 90s that stopped doing it. And then there were people that you just didn't see anymore. There were artists that were putting out subpar material that came from the 90s. There was a new crop of people that were trying to come up. And I remember seeing this advertisement for this 3-album run and was like, okay, all right, so the Duck Down guys, the boot camp guys are coming back. And nobody cared about Sean Price. Like, we weren't caring about P. We were caring about Buckshot. Like, oh, Buckshot and Ninth Wonder are doing an album. Like, this is the shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the P side of it was like, I remember me and my group of friends just being like, of all the Duck Down guys, Sean Price is going to do a solo album? Like, what about Rock? Like, we were, because Rock was the guy in Helter Skelter in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So we're like, what about Rock? Like, why would Sean Price?
I'm a Rock guy.
You know what? I run into a lot of people who were Rock guys in the 90s. Well, okay. I run into a lot of people who say they were Rock guys.
Yeah.
So are you accusing him of lying right now?
In the 90s, nobody was a Rock guy. I never met nobody that was a Rock guy. So it's hilarious to me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because this is sort of the origin story of I think this kind of gets underrated as the rebirth, the remake, the renovation of a career. You've got the MF Dooms.
Yep.
You've got, and then you have the Sean Prices, where this was a rebranding and it sort of set up the standard for what he would be doing the rest of his career. I think for a lot of aficionados, this was the bar to hit.
He cut his dreads and it was grown man rap. And it was
grown
real.
Man rap. Yep.
Yeah, the brokest rapper alive. Like, it was just so, it hit home, man.
So, Mark, let me ask you, were you tuned in? Because there were a couple singles that dropped before this that weren't on the album. It was the Ruckus something.
I gotta hear it. I'm not a great dude with names.
So the reason why I asked that, though, is because, like, just for the historical context of this, like, again, really hyped for Ninth Wonder and Buckshot. Like, for guys that saw Little Brother come out and do their thing, we were like, oh shit. So Ninth is about to do some shit with some real hip hop dudes, like from Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit. And then we realized that, wait a minute, all these North Carolina guys are gonna produce like all this stuff. Like, this is kind of a ill idea, but still our confusion was why Ruck. Like, we couldn't figure out why Ruck. And we couldn't, and the reason why we couldn't figure out why Ruck is because all you had was the couple Helter Skelter albums and the Boot Camp album, which, what's interesting about BCC is, at least from a fan perspective of guys that was outside freestyling and doing that and into the culture in the way that we were, the way that we looked at BCC was there's Buckshot and then, of course, Evil D and the production side of it, right?
Beat miners.
The beat miners. There's no 5FT because he never raps on anything, right? Like, we're like, okay, there's no 5FT. Then you go Smith & Wesson. Like, okay, we got Smith & Wesson. And then you go Helter Skelter, right? And then you got the others. There's other people in Boot Camp Clique. And we didn't really, they could come and they could go. They were like Killer Bees. How people looked at Killer Bees was everybody else in Boot Camp. But in the duos, and I would love to hear feedback from the audience when we put the episode out and everything, but in the duos, like Rock was overpowering because he was so animated and he had that voice. Yeah. So it wasn't that anybody thought Rock was not good. It was like Rock was Method Man, and then Rock could have been, Jizza, who's really dope, but like, do you hear Method Man? Like, Method Man's here. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the struggle that I think it's the comedy
that comes out of Sean P.
Yeah.
It really brought him to a humbling persona as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think for him, if you listen to some of his interviews and stuff, that was how he felt too. He felt slighted. He felt like Rock got all the attention. He felt like it was, and it's kind of the reason why he basically quit rap. Like, he basically quit for a couple of years and was working regular jobs and was not with the shits. So right. This was not just a figurative rebirth. This was an actual rebirth, like a return to form. And like I was saying, there was a couple of singles that rocked out, or a couple like solo tracks that rocked out leading into this era. And then it was like, oh shit! Like,
I think you mean that they rucked out. They didn't rock out. They rocked out.
They rocked out. Yeah.
I only met Sean Price once, and it was a Duck Down tour, and I was actually writing for OK Player at the time. I actually went and did some coverage of the show. I believe Pharoah Monch was there. It was like Pharoah Monch and a lot of the boot camp guys as well, I want to say. And I did a video interview with Sean P, and this just speaks to the humor that you mentioned before. He said at the beginning of the interview, and then kept peppering throughout the interview in between questions, he was like, I just don't understand. Like, OK Player, like, don't you want to be talking to Common or Talib Kweli? Like, why do you want to talk to me? But he was never doing it in a threatening way. He was really like sweet and like very kind and very gracious. This is, this is early age DSLR cameras. This was not a professional setup. I don't think actually the video ever even came out because the audio was so bad. We were still.
I had the mini DV in hand.
Yeah, exactly. Or it might have been the Canon, but something in that time period. But his humor is something that I always appreciated about him, in that he is one of those lethal mercenary rappers, but never seems to take himself that seriously. There was a bit of self-effacing context to all of his presence on wax, and to me he's just the ultimate like I don't give a fuck rapper. He truly doesn't give a fuck. Ultimate. And but that doesn't mean that he doesn't give a fuck about like his bars or writing, but to me it always seemed like, especially in his solo career, Sean Price kind of had a take it or leave it attitude towards everything in the music business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just personifies man. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like, yo, I'm a man. I don't give a fuck. And this is what we're talking about. This is what I want to talk about. And I'm going to make a joke about my girl's saggy tits. That's it. And I'm still going to go fuck later.
Yep. P.
Yeah. It was great. And I was talking to MidaZ about this before. My relationship, I think, with the boot camp clique music is probably similar to what I know MidaZ has told me about some of his relationships with, like, we'll say maybe Native Tongues music, where I know all the records. I was aware of all of it. I respect all of the music. I recognize the contribution. This is, in preparing for this episode, this is definitely the first time that I've listened to Monkey Barz in a long time. And it's not because I didn't like it, but again, it's just, there's different flavors and things that exist out there in the menu.
It just captures you right away.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree. I never heard it and was like, like this isn't for me. It's just like, oh, this is really dope. And then I get distracted and I go over here. And then I'll always, I've heard every Sean Price album. I would always check for him. If he's featured on somebody else's album, I'm always going to skip and, go to that, because he is an incredible MC. For me, I'm just presenting that because I feel like that's pertinent as we begin to dissect, where I know that you, Mark, and you, MidaZ, definitely, I think, are stronger Sean Price heads than I am. But I am definitely a fan of him as an artist and as a rapper.
Interesting how much the Buckshot record got so much like attention in that three album situation in the beginning. But
it was the covers too.
But the endearing classic out of those three records,
it's Monkey Barz.
is Monkey Barz. You know what I'm saying? I
Um,
don't even remember the Smith and Wesson joint. I feel like I got to go back to that one.
yeah, I mean, look, I just told you it's been a while since I listened to this one. It's been longer than I've listened to the Smith and Wesson one.
I haven't heard that one in a stretch.
So let's talk about
its
its ranking. You know, when it came out, the Source gave it 3.5 mics. Rap Reviews gave it an 8 out of 10 score. All Music gave it a 4 out of 5. So the question that we'd like to kick things off with, Mark, in its current iteration, where do you place Monkey Barz in the Source 5 mic scale?
5 mics. I'm gonna have to do 4. I give it a 4.
Yeah,
To me, it's 4, because I would say the majority of the joints on this album are straight fire, and they just get my blood pumped. And I can listen to every word.
totally. Yeah, I think for me, I definitely place it. It's probably, I think it's a 3.5 for me. Again, because look, we're gonna get into this, and I was telling MidaZ this. We try not to talk much about the albums before we do this because we want to save it for the ring, you know. But for me, I was like, you know, there's never an issue with Sean Price on the Sean Price album. He always is consistent. He's delivering throughout. So what it really amounts to is, do you like the beat? And what do you think of the other MCs that he's rapping with? For me, that's where I kind of landed on. So to me, you know, depending on how the wind blows, this could be a 3.5, this could be a 4. But I think in this current stage, and knowing that we're about to, you know, take the scissors to it, I'd give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I would give it a 4. And I do think this is the kind of record which is shocking because I'm not a huge fan of the Ninth Wonder style production, generally speaking. In that area style production at that time. But I mean, I like Crisis. I do like Crisis, but just the style of it just wasn't my bag. But what's interesting is, again, when I talk about great MCs, I think the best thing about being a great MC, or one of the best things that you have to have a great ear. And Sean picks beats. He picks beats that fit him and that he's going to sound great over, that fit his energy. So even though, like, generally speaking, that sound didn't move me a whole lot, the ones that he picked did. You know what I'm saying? So it's
that whole era of sound was kind of, like we were talking, is kind of whack. You know what I mean? It came off of like the 90s, and then we had G Unit, and now we're like, what you said, ringtones? It's like nobody wants to listen to that shit. Yeah. So Price, what he was picking, that's the only beats that I don't fuck with on this album that we're about to hit up, is like the ones that are kind of 2005 sounding.
Yeah. And truth be told,
you know.
Truth be told, the Ninth Wonder and Crisis Justice League sort of imprint on this album is pretty small, actually. We'll get into it, but this was not the Ninth Wonder album. Honestly, there's only one Ninth Wonder beat on the whole album. So it's, but yeah, I understand why it gets lumped in. It
does.
And we also talked to the Questions Patreon about their thoughts about this album, and here's what they had to say.
Hey, what's happening? The Questions Hip Hop Trivia Podcast. This is listener Sam Sneeze coming from the woods of Washington. I am excited to hear what happens on Sean P's Monkey Barz making Illmatic. Boot Camp Click, that was the squad. Used to listen to them a lot in high school and afterwards. Pretty much picked up anything that they would drop, and had all the Helter Skelter albums. Even had a glow-in-the-dark Helter Skelter t-shirt that, for some reason, a lot of people in Idaho didn't know what that was, but me and my friends, we knew what it was. Those guys were the duo. And when Ruck was about to go solo, I knew he'd be able to bring the flows. I knew he had a grip of producers to work with, and he even had the sick comic book cover. But the album, it's a little weighty, and I think we can get it down to fighting weight. So, rest in peace, the legend, Sean P.
No, Free Music Empire, Sean Price, Monkey Barz, you guys are talking about. Where does Sean Price rank in the Hall of Ninth Wonder collaborators? Because he really sets off Ninth Wonder sounds to me in a way that I don't know if anyone does. Respect to Fonte and everyone else. What an album. Changed my life.
All right, so we're going to get into this album. It's the 3-man vote. We vote to cut or keep, and if we reach the end of the album and we have not trimmed it to 10, we will go back in more of a lightning round and determine what makes the cut. So,
How many joints are in total on this album?
Total joints, we have 16, including the bonus track. So we got to cut 6. We'll see what happens. So we're going to get into the first song. It is produced by Clef Dollars, and the song is called Peep My Words.
Peep my words. Can't get knocked. Can't get shot.
Automatic. Best #1 intro joint that I've ever heard.
Peep my words.
Word. Heavenly words. Come on, man. That one's amazing.
Yeah, I would say to echo Mark on this one. Going again, you gotta. I like to put the listener back into the headspace of listening to the record for the first time when I can do that. I remember putting this joint on and being like, not really knowing what to expect because again, for me personally, rock didn't stand out a whole lot amongst the things. So I remember back in the day, and when I hit play, and it's the name of this album is Monkey Barz. And I'm the host.
That's the intro.
Sean P. And I'm like, yo, what is this?
Skit,
like,
nothing.
No skit, nothing. The music. And Sean, one of the things on this podcast, bro, as we're doing this, that we find is there's so many records that do these intros that you just don't need. Get rid of that shit.
That was a time of skits, too.
Skits and all that shit. So the way that it just comes in, it skews the need to... All right, I told you what it is. The name of the album is Monkey Barz. All right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And then he just starts rapping, and the beat is dope on the intro. Super cute.
Got one of my favorite bars in the whole album in that first song. Drinking and smoking, vice versa, smoking and drinking. I'm supposed to be stinking, something like that. While I'm counting these Lincolns, I'm like, oh my God, this guy. This guy.
Yeah, it's definitely a keep for me as well. It's a little bit more laid back than I think what the mood of the record eventually will overall encompass. But again, as a sort of sonic bed for him to be flexing his style and the personality that you're going to get on this album, it is the perfect introduction. And yeah, to what you were both also saying, this album and other albums that came from this time definitely seemed like a reaction to the bloated era. We've been doing a lot of albums from 98 to 2002 on this format. And man, it was almost mandated that you had to have the first song called intro, and it had to be like a minute and a half, and it wasn't a song. And it just was like, what the fuck is the point of this? So yeah, I definitely appreciate that about this song.
And he's just capturing your ear. He's like, yo, listen to what I have to say. Peep my words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is it. I'm about to just go in. And it was like the introduction to Sean Price from there on after.
And honestly, that sentence is the key. Like, even if it was the intro for new fans and it was the reintroduction for old fans, like, wait, holy shit. So yeah, definitely. Keep.
Amazing. Keeper, the best #1 I've ever heard.
We got a unanimous keep here. We're off to a great start. We're
it's
gonna
not
move
gonna stay
on.
that way.
Yeah. There's gonna be some bloodshed for sure.
It's fun. I like this.
Track #2, produced by Moss. It's 1-2, y'all.
Stop. Y'all niggas brave natural.
I love a real, and I don't know how else to. There's not another word, and this doesn't make sense, but it'll make sense to you as you listen to this. I love a beat that's real slanty. You know what I'm saying? And there's something about the way the keys and that little guitar like turn around and the drums, you just like kind of like everything slants. You just have to like, you know, cock your head to the side. And I just like picture if the beat was personified, it wouldn't be walking down a hallway straight. It would have this weird like just sort of lurch to it. And yeah, I mean, to me, like I said before, to me, the Sean Price feature in this product works 100% of the time. There's no weak Sean Price verses or performances on this record. So if the beat immediately evokes that for me, then it's a keep.
Yeah, this is a keep.
Yeah, it's an automatic keep for me.
Yep, it's a solo joint. He has no features on it. It's a great way to follow up on Peep My Words, and I'm with it. I'm with this joint.
I'm a big believer that your second track, I've always said this, your second song has to be your first song is this is what we about to do, and your second song is watch me rap. Yeah. And he catches a body with the wordplay, and this was kind of he goes stupid with the wordplay on this joint and just dancing around. It's a beat that you have to dance on a little bit. And he dances all over it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah, his wordplay is out of control. And like, you know, there's something special about this record as it pertains to where it sits in the Sean Price pantheon with his other records that came after. Because I think what ended up happening, my own humble opinion, is that P started to perfect his style. Like, all right, I'm reintroducing this style. I'm gonna tweak my 90s style a little bit. I'm gonna reintroduce it. And then from this point on, he tweaked it even further. Like he perfected it. He owned it. But I think there was a little bit lost because he started to, after this record, he started to tap in way more to the one-liner aspect and less into the wordplay with the one-liner aspect. Not that there was no more wordplay, but this album is wordplayed the fuck up. You could tell he was rapping like, yo, I really have something to prove to everybody who thought they were sleeping on me. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm listening to this verse and I'm going crazy.
What did he say? Something about the dubs in the sack for the dubs on the lack or something like that? I was like,
he was doing wild shit.
The patterns too.
Listening to it over and over.
Yeah, the patterns too. It's not just the content of what he was writing, but just the way that he was also freaking the different writing patterns, which is just impressive. It's in revisiting this album for this, I think that I'm not like, reinventing the wheel here to say it. Sean Price is super fucking underrated. It's insane that he isn't held in a higher regard, and obviously it's tragic.
That's why I wanted to do this album.
Yeah, look, man, nobody was mad at it. Like it was a good instinct for sure.
That's exactly why I wanted to do this album.
It's really crazy, and it's tragic that we won't have more. And even the album that came out, the final album that was sort of the posthumous thing. Posthumous albums traditionally are terrible ideas and they're cash grabs for the most part. And that record is fucking great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was alive for,
for a bunch of it.
Getting it going, and then
Bernadette finished
his voice to me I could just hear it in his voice. It kind of hurts me listening to that album, but Monkey Barz is the one.
Yeah. So this was a strong keep.
All right, we got another unanimous keeper, a happy
shout
family
out Moss too. How many Moss joints have we heard in the last 10 years? Because Moss produced this one.
Well, I know Moss was really active in the decade that this happened, and I'm sure
real active in that decade. You know what's the Moss joint that people forget that Moss did? All around the world today, a kilo is a measure.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kilo's got 1,000 grams. It's easy to remember. That's a Moss joint. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking him up really quick. His Wikipedia stops at 2017. Obviously, that doesn't mean
because I haven't heard much Moss in the last, but in this era, Moss had joints on a lot of records.
Q, whoever responds to this on Twitter or Instagram, you idiots, Moss is... Okay,
you didn't know Moss did the whole Drake album? No, my bad.
My bad. Shout out to Moss. We're moving on to track 3, produced by Crisis. It's Onion Head featuring Tech.
Yo. Who says that? Who says that?
Yo, the first time I heard that joint, I was like, this is the most hard, I don't give a fuck ramen dude I ever met in my life, bro.
That's
or I ever heard in my life.
The humor with it. This guy is the best, man.
This is actually my favorite song on the album, I would say, for me.
It's just one of his most popular songs, for sure.
Yeah.
It's an automatic keeper.
Yeah.
Automatic keeper. You look him up, I think this is number 1 streaming song right now.
Oh yeah? Is it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Onion Head, man. But see, it's such a, honestly, Mark, when I think about it, this is kind of an overpowering song on the record in the sense that whenever I think about Monkey Barz, I think about this song like pretty quickly.
Onion Head?
And
I have 2 songs I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think about it pretty quickly. And the problem with that is, going back to what Sean said a few minutes ago, then I go, fucking Knife Wonder did the whole album. Like, because that's what it sounds like when I think about this fucking song. But this shit is crazy. Like, it's such a ridiculous joint. He goes stupid on every bar on the whole shit. Got a dumb bitch that live in Japan. Slut dick with a hand. Like, yo, just crazy. Like, he goes nuts. So, super keep.
Yeah, it's number 1. I mean, yeah. First 3 tracks right off the bat. Some of the best.
Strong start. Yeah.
This next one,
let's
talk about it.
All right, we're going to get into track 4. It's produced by Rudy Rocks. It's Fake Neptune featuring Buckshot Steel and Louisville Slugger.
This is one of my favorite things about P is like the line he said, Sean Price, 4 wings, fried rice. Like, I love when he refers to himself and like has this crazy bar behind it. Yeah. The only time, I'll tell you a quick story. It's the only time I met him. I met him a few times, but in passing at like shows or whatever. But at one point, he was always been my number one like fan favorite rapper, my favorite. One of my friends was shooting a video of his. He produced a song for him and brought Sean P to my store in the Lower East Side. So I got to like kick it with him, like one-on-one, and wardrobe him for this video. I put like this crazy P. Miller jersey on him. Yeah, it was crazy. And like, I was so nervous. I wanted to go like say something to him, but so he was smoking a cigarette outside. I was like, fuck it, it's my chance, right? So I go outside, I grab one off him, and I go, bro, I'm Sean Price, and you not. Big bullets with big guns for big shots. And he like lost it and he started rapping it back to me. And I was like, this is why I love this guy. This is why I love this guy.
Oh man, P, R.I.P.
He's the best. And the way he refers to himself and the lines after. But that being said, I'm going to X this song.
Woo!
And what is the reasoning? What is the reasoning behind the cut?
I mean, it's the beat. This is like going back to what we said in the earlier, you know what I mean? Like the mid-2000 beat. And I know he did this on purpose as a joke to say, hey, I could rap on these type of beats too. But the album is so amazing. You went from Peep My Words to 1 2 Y'all to Onion Heads. And we still got some, to me, my favorite track hasn't even come up yet. And then to follow it up with that, I was like, we don't need this, bro. We don't need. You're talking about making an Illmatic, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about making a top 10 song.
I would say even in the making Illmatic paradigm, the Life's a Bitch beat doesn't sound like the other beats. It's a little more smoothed out compared to the
doesn't sound like it, but this is just too. He says it, a Neptune beat. You know, he says it. It's just like
I get a kick out of the self-referential nature of the title and him. It's hip hop is already so meta and self-referential, but for him to have a song called Fake Neptune, it's
literally
like,
Fake Neptune.
Okay, that's interesting. To me, it's a keep because I enjoy hearing that mixing of the styles, and it doesn't sound. This doesn't sound like straight up like, oh, did he really get a beat from Chad and Pharrell? It obviously still has some of the flourishes that would place it in the realm of underground hip hop, but I sort of enjoy the concept of him using explicitly flexing his style on this type of production and being very, very transparent about it down to the fucking song title. So to me, I enjoy it. It's a keep. MidaZ, you are our deciding vote.
I love being a deciding vote. It's a cut.
My man. You know what's up next. That's right. We got to do top 10. There's 16 points.
It's a cut. Here's the thing. Unlike some cuts that we've done on past episodes, it's not like get this shit out of here. Go kick across the field. It's not that. It's a good record too. It's a inside joke record. Bars are crazy, and it's the boot camp song on the album, which is kind of tough to cut the boot camp song. But I think the final product of 10 songs that we could end up with, this beat would not sit well in that 10 songs.
Yeah, it doesn't play later. You know what I mean? There's longevity of songs, and those first 3 I can bump all day. Right now, that one I don't want to hear.
And I get it too. It is the sonic
cutting
outlier.
It though, Mark. And here's the one sadness I have with cutting this song. You cut that song, which means we also cut How I'ma Let You Shit on Me After I Let You Shit on Me. Freaky DK, which is a phenomenal fucking line that it just hurts me.
Hey, listen, I don't want to cut anything, Sean P. But you asked me if we want to make one of the best albums, and I think this should be
I would agree, though.
One of the best albums.
I would agree. It's a cut.
All right, we're moving on to number 5, produced by Ninth Wonder. Again, the only Ninth Wonder beat on the album, despite the reputation. It is Heartburn.
In the drug habit, I love it.
Come on.
I love it how he said, I know you can't stand it. I love it.
The way he just he talks. He just talking on these tracks. And it's just like, man, this guy.
Yeah, you could, again, man, the narrative of where he was at in life really shows like he had just reached the point of like, you know what, man, fuck it, bro. Like, I'm just gonna say wild shit and like, I don't even give a fuck. Like, whatever we gonna do. We doing some albums? Bet. I got rhymes, like, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, with no expectation and and I will say, like, even from an artist standpoint on my end, like I make the best music when I don't have any. I'm just creating. I don't have any overhead. Yeah, I don't have nobody that's, yo, you got to do this. Yo, I'm just working. Like I'm just having fun in the studio, and you could tell, like, yeah, whatever, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And like, but you could also tell if we're gonna do it, he's like, you know what? I gotta let motherfuckers know how I get down with this pen. Like
he's so smooth and he talks so clearly, but he's not lazy at all. And it seems like he's just talking on the beat, which a lot of guys are doing this day. And that's why I think this album is very important, because I really think it started this new renaissance that people think we're in.
Yeah.
Because this album, I know a lot of people say otherwise, but I think that this album really started.
If they call Rock the godfather of the Renaissance or the
Marcy.
Yes, Marcy. If Rock is the godfather,
right,
we got to figure out what P is, because P is important. Like there's a couple,
who was Rock Marcy rhyming alongside with?
Well, you know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. There's a lot of, just to say this, because I think it's important to be noted, like Rock, I would agree that Rock is the godfather of the new wave Renaissance. Like I would agree with that. I would also say we gotta acknowledge Sean Price. We gotta acknowledge Planet Asia and some of these other guys who were putting out in that 2005 until Rock came, there was still stuff going on. It wasn't exactly this energy, but there was a lot going on.
Movements don't happen. Movements don't happen in a vacuum. So it's never just going to be one guy. It's a bunch of people tapped in and operating on a similar level. And there's always going to be there's only usually space if you're lining everybody up in a line. There's going to be somebody first. But yeah,
if you listen to Marsburg, who's the only feature?
Yeah, the Snow remix.
Yeah, Sean Price.
Yeah, which was, and he was big homie at the time. Like P was, like, oh shit. I remember being like, oh shit, he got P on there? Like,
right. I think he's the homie. I don't even know if he's probably the same age,
Well, yeah, but of course. He could be younger.
Yeah, fact. But
I also enjoy the subversiveness of taking Ninth Wonder soul, very heartfelt sounding beat, and calling it Heartburn, which first of all is very tongue in cheek. Yeah, he's just so casual, conversationalist, and so humorous.
This beat doesn't sound like any of the ones we've heard yet.
Right. Yeah.
So there's the transition.
It's a keep for me for sure. I enjoy this one.
It's the closest thing on here too, outside of, I guess Fake Neptune to some extent, but like, he does this again on the record a little bit later, but where he'll do a joint that has like a loose concept to it. You know what I'm saying? And there's like a, I love this, I love that, I love this, I love that, but doing it his way, and the things that he loves are horrible things. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just super dope. Keep.
Is it a keeper for you?
Oh, it's definitely a keep.
Yeah, it's a keeper for me.
It's a definite keep. And it's funny because it's another one of those joints where the beat is dope, but to me, the beat is made dope by the raps.
Oh, yeah.
100%. It's a dope beat, but it's not, it doesn't stand out. It's not like, yo, I want to hear everybody rap on this beat. It's not going to be one of those like, this is the one that makes the rounds and everybody freestyles on it. This could have easily gone in a very corny and predictable route where at another rapper, this is going to be my love song. And
he talks about going home after a hard day and rolling up weed and then watching cartoons with his kid. You know what I mean? Like, that's if you're a father, that's some real shit right there.
Yeah.
I know that.
So it's a unanimous keep. We're going to go on to track 6, produced by Star.com and Justice. It is Shakedown.
I'm good.
Cut.
Yeah, and not like a harsh cut, but it's just like there's 10 tracks that we want to have, and compared to the other ones that we've already said that are definitely going to be there, like, nah. I mean, it's
nah.
Yeah, it's a skippable joint. When I'm on the CD player, it's a skip.
I think it's the beat.
This is probably
Nothing wrong with
the
it.
beat.
You know what I mean? It's just it's so great. Like, I'm talking Illmatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there can only be 10, we're gonna lose 6. But yeah, for me, I think it's the beat. The beat is just it's actually kind of an interesting sample, whatever that is, but it gets very repetitive to me, and it just is not. It doesn't hold my attention in the same way that the other ones do.
Right.
Yeah, this got a lot of skips for me in the like when I was bumping this album all the time. Like I always skipped over this joint, which again, sad for it to be cut because then you lose the great Shine That's Fucked Up Puffy line, which is great. You could also tell that this, at least to me, sounds like one of the first songs that P would have recorded on this album.
The voice,
It doesn't
the
sound
voice.
the same.
Yeah, the voice sounds. I mean, you were talking about he was smoking cigarettes, and that was definitely his gravel. Shout out to Gravel Pits, but his gravel was definitely progressed throughout time, and you could, if you were very familiar with the record or the catalog, you could hear this and maybe even not be sure that it's him. It sounds so different.
Yeah. He sounds very different on this joint. To me, it sounds like if this is no inside knowledge, this is just a guess. And I'm familiar with this type of thing being the case. Sounds to me like this was a song that he recorded probably a while before he started working on everything else.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, but I really love that fucking song. Let's put it on. You know what I'm saying?
Or he might have just felt the pressure of like having to have a 50-minute or whatever 16-track album. You know, this 30-minute album idea, it only lives now. It didn't live in 2005. 2005, people were making mixtapes of 24 songs.
Facts.
I mean, so he was just like, oh man, we got to make this a little more fuller. You know what I mean?
Facts.
To say nothing about featuring the guests too. There might have he felt like, man, I don't want to cut, one of the songs that has my mans on there. So yeah,
that's the only joint with Starang.
Yeah, Starang and Steel. So sorry, it's a cut. Shakedown. You've been shaken off the album. We're gonna move on to track 7, produced by P.F. Cutton. It's Madman.
Madman, I got mad.
It's funny, his voice kind of sounds similar to the last song on this one too, to me. So this, if we're, using our fan theories here, maybe this was similar era.
Yeah.
Easily could have been recorded earlier. I mean, P.F. Cutton, this is straight Brooklyn. Like I could hear them just
having joints.
I'm gonna say it. I think I'm gonna keep it just because it has that nostalgic, just like this is real Brooklyn joint, and I can see them cooking this up. You know what I mean? It's just like one of those that might be the weak point in the 10-track album, but this is a good joint. This is a good joint.
Yeah. To me, this is a cut in a similar way that the previous one was, where the beat just doesn't necessarily grab me in the same way. And what's interesting is that I actually do like these beats. They don't sit well in the album and with his voice to me.
I get it.
And again, look, we already have acknowledged this, and we're probably going to acknowledge it at least 4 more times because we have cuts to make. There's no bad songs on this album. It's just we're trying to pick the 10, the cream of the crop, and for me, this is a cut.
Yeah, for me, it's a cut too. Just off the strength that it was one that I skipped a lot when I had it. So it's always funny. Like I'm listening to that line. I know this album forwards and backwards, and the funny thing is, I heard that line about fighting my folks. Fuck Pops fighting my folks. And I'm like, I don't even think I've ever heard that line before. Like, and that's just probably because I probably didn't get that deep into the song before going to like, let me go to the next joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just didn't this song didn't get a lot of burn for me. So I'm going to say skip.
I get it. I might be pulling this out later as we continue in the album, but right now I think I'm going to keep it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got that one cut. We're on to track 8. It's produced by T.Y. Deals.
How many joints have we kept so far? We've kept
hold on. Let's see. We've kept
3,
1,
right?
2, 3. We've kept 4.
Okay. As a group. All right. 4. All right. Yes, we got 6 more joints.
Yeah. We're in good shape right now. We're on track 8, produced by T.Y. Deals. It's Brokest Rapper You Know.
Last album came out.
You motherfuckers hate it.
Motherfucks.
Man, what are you guys going to say? This is a great joint too, man.
Nah, so I'll set them off on this one. This is a big keep for me. I I had never heard a record like this before. Right? Like a straight, like you got to think, like being a rapper was all about being like, I'm the best, I'm the illest, I'm the richest, I'm the coolest. And then he comes out with brokest rapper you know. Yeah, like it was like, yo, it was actually empowering for some of us up and coming guys at the time that was like, oh, so you don't gotta flex all the time? Like, you know, he came out like, yo, it's Father's Day and I don't got shit from none of my kids. Like, I'm broke. Like, I don't got no money. Like, you know, I'm fucked up. And it was such a ill, I remember this record being such a ill, like, yo, word, we could look at this stuff a little bit differently. You know what I mean? Like, and it's only a minute and 30 seconds, but to me, it's a powerful minute and 30 seconds. Is it the best beat on the record? It's not the best beat on the record, but to me, that the message on this joint is powerful in the sense of it's one of the first times that I ever heard a rapper, instead of being braggadocious, be like, yo, my life is fucked up. Like
humble, man. He's humble.
Yeah,
like I said,
yeah, super humble.
And I agree with you. It does make you look at this, you know, the egg at a different angle and be like, oh shit, like, yeah, we could make it. Like we could be the dopest rappers alive. But of course we're not going to be bling bling and, you know, money ain't a thing. Like at least I can go support my kids and pay for my apartment and you know, just live off of what I love. Right. And make this classic album that we're talking about 20 years later. You know what I mean? Like, so
and we could really understand, like he wasn't just saying, he was saying, I'm fucked up in the game. Like, listen, like, I don't have money to go get a drink. Like, I'm fucked up. And there was, I think there's some empowerment to people like, damn, bro, like I might be in that same situation. Or I might have been in that situation. So it's a little bit of that.
Yeah. What are you going to do, Sean? You going to keep this joint?
So I have a couple additional thoughts, and I agree with everything you have both said. Number one, I realized, especially after coming after the previous two beats and listening to him in this way, I like beats that stay out of his way. And the way that maybe part of it is the mix and part of it is the actual like arrangement. And, you know, I'm always coming at these with a producer ear. I need Sean Price to be front and center because that is an instrument that you want to hear. And I think that was the problem that I had with the last two. And that's what I really like about this one. He's like dead in center. It's really easy to pick him out. He's riding on top of it. So for me, it is a keep. I like the content. I also like that it's short in a way that feels like it's almost ahead of its time in a way, because now we're very conditioned to short songs. Yeah. And there's a couple of things on this record, especially when I was going back and listening to all the songs on this album. There's a lot of 20-second long to 30-second long intros. You know, you had to have like 4 bars or 8 bars of the beat, and then, you know, the verse starts. So I like that this kind of gets in and gets out in more of an economic way. So for me, I'm voting to keep it.
All right. I'm going to agree with you guys. I think it would play nice in the full picture of the album. It's definitely not my favorite ones, but it would play nice. So I agree.
All right.
Yeah. So I actually think it tells I think this song, as shocking as it is, outside of Peep My Words, to me, this Brokest Rapper You Know, to me, tells the story of the album.
This next joint is my favorite joint, like, of all time. I think every fucking like high school basketball team should come out to this next joint. Like, this next joint is crazy.
All right, well, let's get right into it. The next joint that he's speaking of is Boom Bye Yeah, produced by Tone Mason.
That's one of the best joints. After Peep My Words, that's the best song on the album. Yeah. You're going to disagree? How could your face say that? Oh.
Listen, I'm just still catching my breath from Boom Bye Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, so I had this instrumental somehow before I heard the song. And I remember being like, what the fuck is this beat? Yo, like,
it's crazy.
I was like, yo, what the fuck is this shit? And then I remember hearing the joint and being like, oh, fuck, bro. Yeah, this shit is a monster, man. To me, one of the seminal, you know, indie 2000 mid 2000 joints that was just like, you could throw this on and everybody, you could pull this out at any independent function and everybody knows this shit. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's going to go, hell yeah.
Wild Out song.
Yeah, it's a mosh pit
up there
joint.
with like Slam to me, like Onyx.
It's a mosh pit joint. It's an independent classic in my opinion, and it's definitely a big key.
Do we? I might be ignorant to this, but do you know much about the producer Tone Mason?
Nope, and don't about Ty Deals either.
There were a lot of unknown names for me in this, but I'm looking him up, and this is another Canadian producer along, with Moss.
With Moss, yeah.
And he did a bunch of joints. I mean, he did joints for Freddie Gibbs, 50 Cent, Drake, obviously, Busta Rhymes, Rod Digga, Quali, Lloyd Banks. This is great, but he's mostly done album cuts, but this, I always admire any kind of record, especially for a guy like him. Not that he was at the top of his career when he made this. It was kind of his reintroduction. But I like, reaching out to a cast of non-marquee names. Really, Ninth and Crisis, by extension, were the big producer names.
Yeah, were the big names,
on this. So it's a cut for me. No, just kidding. This is an obvious yeah, this epitomizes everything. If you only had like one song to play somebody, like, so what is Sean Price? Like, how do I get like the cliff notes on what his music is about? This would be an excellent candidate for that. It has all the elements that you'd want.
Agreed.
All right, so this has been, I would say this is the most drama-free episode we have done up to this point so far. We'll see how this goes, but we're all kind of on the same accord.
Great album, that's why.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with the great album is that we got to cut 6 songs from a great album, and that's where things could get.
You got a couple more. We got like 7 more joints. All right.
Yeah. All right. Track 10, produced by Dub.Z. It's I Love You, Bitch.
So what's interesting about that song is, like, again, it reminds me of, like, to me it sits in a trifecta with Heartburn and Brokest Rapper You Know, as, like, you're learning a lot about P even when he's being funny. Like, there's a hint of, like, okay, I actually think I'm getting to know this guy a little bit, even through the jokes, right? And, like, that record, I Love You, Bitch, is so, I don't know, I think conceptually it's hilarious to be that you would pick that beat to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna, like, I remember when I first heard it and I'm looking at the title and I'm like, it doesn't sound like he loves her that much. But then at the end, you're like, oh, he really loves it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's his nigga. Like, but he's just letting it be known, like, yo, that's my nigga. Like, fuck all the shit. So big, to me, it's a big keep, man. Like, those 3 records, they really tell a story in this album.
Yep. It says a lot what we said in the beginning too. Like, he's just humble, man. And he's just telling you the reality of real life. Not, it's not this whole Instagram with no cellulite. Nah. My girl, sometimes she just looks better from behind because I don't want to fucking like, it's like, sorry, that's it. But he still loves her and nobody's gonna fuck with her.
And nobody's gonna fuck with her. Facts.
Yeah, it's a keep for me as well. It's interesting because you don't necessarily think of Sean Price as somebody, as an MC when you talk about MCs who have vulnerability, right? Because there's nothing vulnerable about him. He's like super shit talking, crazy, unhinged, doesn't give a fuck. But in those moments of, there's an honesty there and a self-deprecation that's there that is kind of rare in hip hop even to this day, probably a little bit more common now, where there is vulnerability there, but it you wouldn't call him like emo rap, and he's not like Drake, and he's not, Atmosphere or anything like that, but there is a human element that is there in these songs, even the conceptual songs where it's also very humorous, but like MidaZ said, there are moments where you're kind of getting a peek into like, oh, this is a real person, Well,
yeah, like he would say, there's a famous Sean P line, the ODB of the BCC.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, what does it mean to be the ODB of the BCC? What does it mean to be the ODB of anything? ODB was just authentic. Like, nah, this is just what it is. Like, you like it, you don't.
Stamps on his MTV fucking show.
You know what I mean? Like,
they followed him around. And that's what P's telling you. It's like, yo, it's not all glamours and glitz. Like, I'm still in the hood.
Just go keep it real. Just gonna keep it real. And I think emo sometimes the let me tell you about my life still has a gloss to it. Like even sometimes the gloss is not telling it as raw as it actually is. And
that's what Sean Price doesn't want you to feel bad for him. He doesn't want you to like say, "Oh, my life is sad," and like poor me. He's just fucking telling you.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. Like,
this is it, man. Yeah. And I still love my life and I love my wife. And I might have to go sell a dime. Nah, he don't.
No, I mean, but that kind of shit is in there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, nah, definitely. So yeah, big keep for me.
Yeah, it's a keep. It's a keep. I'm getting a little worried because what do we have? We have like 8 keeps now or 6 keeps?
That was our 7th keep. So
the idea is that we go through the whole thing, and then we'll have to go back through if we keep too many.
Okay, we'll re-edit. I like that.
We'll get it to 10 no matter what, God damn it. All right, we're going to move on to track number 11. It's another one produced by Crisis. It's Bye Bye featuring Buckshot.
I think I'm going to skip this one.
It's a cut.
Yeah, sorry.
It is not a song that I dislike, but again, in the name of having to cut to 10, it just doesn't offer enough flavor or spice to keep it at the table. You know what I mean?
There's so many songs that we're talking about, like, and the lines and all that. Like, yeah, it was like a song that felt needed to be in there because it's Buckshot, you know what I mean? But, not in the top 10 of the album.
Are we saying bye-bye to bye-bye? Is that what we're doing?
Yes. I am too. I don't even remember that song.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna like it, Minus. I'm not gonna lie, but
nah, I don't even remember that song.
It's a good joint. It's a good joint. There's a couple of more really better ones though after this. So
yeah. I don't remember it at all.
About economy, we got to make sure that we're keeping the best of the best. So we're gonna move on to track 12. It's Spliff and Wesson, which seems just intentionally misleading or confusing. But Spliff and Wesson featuring Rusty Jux, produced by Ayatollah.
Listen, it goes.
There you go. Now that's a joint. That's a joint. And that's a joint to have features on and all that. I fuck with Rusty Jux heavy.
Oh, fuck with Rusty heavy.
Yeah, that is a joint right there. Definite keeper in my eyes.
Whew. Shout out Rusty Jux. I got a few joints with Rusty Jux.
Fire. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah. Yo, that joint's crazy. Shout out Ayatollah. Love the way he came in on his, like, where he chose to start the verse was wild to me. Like, I always love it when MCs be like, yeah, I'm going to start on this off-ass part of the beat and then go crazy. And
he always starts off with crazy words, too. It's like everything with Sean P, his first lines are like, it's like, yo, really? You going to start a song like that?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot to say. I only wish that was more of a posse cut. Like, I wish this was the boot camp joint. Like, put everybody on that one. You know what I'm saying? And it would have been crazy. I agree with that. Yeah, it's a super key.
Yeah, it's a great beat, and you just want to. I had to remind myself that I had to stop playing the cue and not just let it run out because it just it encapsulates you, and you just want to keep hearing it. But yeah, it's got a lot of energy, and I don't know. I don't have much more to add. It's just fucking great. I agree. It would be great to have had everybody on it, but I'm also very happy with it as it is. So it's a keep.
Yep. Energy joint. I'm with it.
Yep.
And the bars. I mean, he's making us laugh, quoting it. Like, that's what he does best, man.
Yep. All right, we're going to move on to track 13, produced by Agala, featuring Rock. It's Jail Shit.
Hey, yo, peace, God, queering the... You should hang it up.
So, I'll just throw this out right quick. It's the first Rock feature on the whole record. Rock immediately reminds you that he's Rock. That voice comes in and you're like, holy shit, it's Rock.
Yeah, the Rock Ness Monster just shows up.
Rock Ness Monster shows up.
Yep.
His voice is so powerful, bro. Like, it's so interesting. Like, when I compare the Nocturnal to the album that they did in 2008, the Dirt, the Incredible Rap Team album that they did years and years and years and years later, by that point, to me, P's voice was so recognizable that it stood next to Rock's recognizable voice as well. But like back in the 90s, man, Rock was just Rock, bro. He just had such a powerful delivery. It was out of control. This is an interesting thing because he comes in on this and P's doing his rap thing. And then Rock comes in and seals the deal. To me, this is a keep. Shout out Aguilar on the beat.
I had no idea where you were going with it. I was on the edge of my seat, not knowing, okay, is he going to go keep or cut with this? So I'm
could have went either way with that argument, and I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, it hurts my soul, but to me,
shit.
It hurts to cut the lone Rock joint. But again, in the name of economy, in the name of we got to cut it to 10, and again. This will be the third time I think I say it. It's all about the beats for me on this one because, again, the rapping is always there. Maybe some songs have a little bit more of a leg up on the others in terms of quotability and the way that the raps are put together, but I don't love the beat as much as I love some of the other beats. That little like consistent tick-tick hi-hat thing doesn't sit well with the rest of the album to me. So this is a reluctant cut. It's not that I have any hatred for this song, and it's very dope. But again, we're dealing with a very, very dope album, so there's going to be some casualties.
Yeah, we don't hate any of the joints on this album. I have to say that up front. But, you know, like you said, I came for this album for Sean. You know, I'm here for Sean P. Like, it might have been one of those joints where he doesn't need to bring that rock. We know you fuck with Rock. Like, we don't even need that. Like, when Pusha T came out with his first solo album, did he even have Malice on it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to cut this joint.
Ooh, what is the disrespect?
There's no disrespect. There's definitely zero disrespect. I like this song. I mean, we got 3 more joints, and the three really good joints coming up.
Yeah, we have 3 more joints and 2 more slots. So this is where it maybe gets interesting. The next song is the title track produced by T.Y. Deals. This is Monkey Barz.
Yo, we smoke weed, pop pills.
Listen, it's hard to listen to that joint, but how could you cut a joint that samples a fucking jungle noise? Like, but it's kind of hard to cut that, but at the same time,
it's also kind of hard to keep it.
Yeah, it might get the axe, man. I don't know, but
well, hold on. What when you say it's hard to listen to, what is hard?
I mean, it's just so much going on that it's like hard to rock out to, and I can't see me and my homies at the time just like rolling up blunts and making licks to that joint. You know what I mean? There was way more hardcore hip hop joints. I don't know. There was a lot of that going on in the 2000s too, like very funny kind of musical beats. Not that was funny, but I mean, it just shows his talent that he can rap on a jungle beat. But
it's not dusty and it's not vibey, and that's where a lot of the strengths of the production on this album lay. So I get that. So the
album that we're making, the top 10, it doesn't fit into the album that
So you're voting to cut? Is that what you're saying?
Unfortunately, yeah.
All right. So I'm voting to keep. And the reason why is that I think I'm stimulated by hearing him on this kind of beat, and it doesn't break so much from the aesthetic of the album that it seems distracting to me. To me, you know, I guess it just depends on how you choose to come at these things. For me, it's like, this is variety, where not everything sounds the same. He's consistent throughout. And I guess I do understand that there is a little bit of hokiness that exists there. Oh, okay, you named it Monkey Barz. It's like a jungle-y beat. Like, I could see an argument where maybe some eyes will roll, but I just really like his performance on the track. There's a lot of great quotables to me. So it's a keep. So MidaZ, that makes you the deciding vote.
Yeah. Don't remember playing it. Didn't even remember it. And if I didn't remember it, that means it was getting skipped already, and it means it's still getting the skip for me. I remember the song. Like, as you were playing it, when that hook came in, I was like, oh, I do remember this. But it wasn't, to Mark's point, it wasn't a joint that, you know, one of the things that I used to take pride in, and I know a lot of guys, what was our pull-up song? When I pull up in the whip, what's blaring out the window? This was never blaring out the window.
No way. No way.
You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
So it's a cut. It's but all due respect to the god Sean Price, he goes bananas on the track.
Yeah,
He's just doing everything crazy. The hook is wild. Like,
it's crazy. It stands alone. It stands alone.
It does, and it would have been really cool to be like a promo song for the album. Maybe it's called Monkey Barz. You could have leaked it early.
Could have been a bonus joint. I would have been happy.
Bonus joint, like, but
you know what's funny? I could almost hear this in a video game or video game soundtrack, which is what one of the remaining songs is. And I could have easily seen a flip-flop where, you know, not that it would have to be like a, you know, the fucking Disney Jungle Book video game or whatever. Like it wouldn't have to be that, but you could certainly, anytime where a beat sort of takes you into a world, you get more cinematic with it. Could this be in a movie? Could this have been in like, you know, I don't know what movies were coming out around the time, you know, the fucking Anaconda 2 or something like that. Like,
Snakes on a Plane.
Snakes on a Plane, yeah. Or Planet of the Apes. Why didn't I think of that? Jeez,
Right.
This is around the same time. All right, so we're cutting it. My heart hurts a little, but I think we'll be okay. We have 2 more songs left. We've got Slapboxing featuring Rusty Jokes and Rock, produced by Edward Maximilian III.
How many joints do we have? We have 8.
We have 9, or we have 8. We have 8, yeah.
Oh man, this one might have to take the skip, and I might have to reintroduce Monkey Barz as because the next joint's a definite. This one, I don't know, man. It's a good joint. It's
a cut for me.
I'm gonna cut it too.
It's a cut for me. It's a tough. I mean, so listen, going back to my logic, like you cut this one and you keep jail shit because.
Right.
If you're gonna have Rock on the record, keep that one because this joint is this out of. I'll be honest. That to me, this is my least favorite song on the entire album.
Really,
it's just a song.
Wow. My vote was to keep it. I like it as a beat. I like the performances on it. I like that we do have Rock on there. This is weird because I don't think that we've ever done this where we are now, by definition, not going to hit 10, and we are going to have to go back and pull one out, which I guess is not the worst thing in the world because we didn't mercilessly bury any of these songs. Like, yeah, fuck these.
Right. There were some joints that were kind of on the fence a little bit.
I wanted to give the whole album a fair shot.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. All right, well, we're losing it, and that means we have one song left. It's a bonus song. It's Rising to the Top, which was in one of the Grand Theft Auto games. It was a theme song featuring and produced by Agala.
Straight music. With your girl.
And the hook is fire.
Yeah. Yo, I remember
he
first hearing
his daughter
that.
on the front of the joint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's so, and her name is Sean P as well.
Sean P, Lil Sean P.
Yeah, just spelled differently. I think it's a definite keep. I love the additive. I think the daughter plays throughout the whole joint. It was amazing. I mean, and just to see, he brought her out on stage. This song meant a lot. It was, not too many people were putting their kids on the joints either. So definite a keep.
Yeah, I would say definitely a keep. Reminds me that, man, like Agala got joints, man. Like if you go back through Agala's catalog, like Agala did a lot of that which is one of my favorite produced albums, which is Onyx's All We Got Is Us. Yeah. Agala did a lot of All We Got Is Us. Agala's got a lot of joints that he's produced throughout the years that are kind of like low key slept on. So gotta give big. And this joint, man, this shit was crazy. I remember this shit on Grand Theft Auto. It's a wild beat. You know what I mean? The hook is phenomenal.
I think it was 3. I think it was 3.
Yeah.
It was 3? Okay. And that, what is that? Liberty City? No, that's not. Is that Liberty City?
No, that was, hold on.
Yeah, I need to fact check that because I got all the Grand Theft Autos. I'm going to fucking start driving around and playing that. Because I do see that on the tape here. It says, bonus track, Rising to the Top, Grand Theft Auto theme song.
Yep.
Yeah, it was 3.
It was on the radio station for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, the radio station for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, fire.
On Game Radio FM.
We have reached the outskirts of my knowledge of modern video games, so I'm of no use for the rest of this.
Grand Theft Auto. Okay, I want to know what city it was in, though. Like, I got
shout out, though. So my only song that I have with Sean Price is a huge posse cut produced by Oh No, with myself, Sean Price, Royce the 5'9", Alchemist, and it is on the Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars
that's right.
soundtrack.
I remember that.
It was the theme song on Chinatown Wars.
I didn't know that. That's
Chinatown
sick.
Wars. Hold on, I'll tell you everybody that's on that track.
This is really the episode where we show how little we remember about video games.
Look, I don't even barely remember myself, and I did it. Royce the 5'9", Sean Price, Oh No, Guilty Simpson, Fat Cat, Metaphor, Chino XL, Marv 1, MidaZ the BEAST, and Rock C.
So what was it like when you guys were all in the studio writing that?
Yeah, it was crazy. We were all battling and trying to be the illest, and we were not all on the same joint, or not all in the same room. But yeah, shout out to that. And the one time that I met Sean, I mean, not the one time I met P a few times, had a lot of actually pretty good conversation with P. But my favorite Sean Price interaction, my brother Sean Kantrowitz and I, and some other folks, where were we at? Minneapolis?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Well, you didn't go that night. So
Okay.
we were at, we what was the event that we were at in Minneapolis?
We're at Soundset.
We're at Soundset, and there was going to be a show at night. And you and a couple of the guys stayed back at the hotel, and me and Czar went to the show, which was at the Purple Rain spot.
First Avenue.
Yeah. And we were there. It was me and Czar, and we were with P and Ono and just a bunch of rap luminaries. It was crazy. And P, we were in the green room. And P was like, I'm sitting right next to P on this couch, and he goes, hey, yo, who's your man over there? So he's pointing at Czar. And I'm like, that's my man Czar. He's like, he's supposed to be in here? I'm like, I mean, he came with us. He goes, yo, get him out of here. And then I was like, I got to get him out of here? He goes, nah, I'm fucking with you. He's cool. Yo, he was just super cool. And we just started talking about, I was asking him about jeans and like shirts. I'm like, bro, like you got the crispiest 501s. Like, how often are you buying 501s? And he's like, oh, I don't buy clothes no more. People just give me clothes now. Like Levi's, he's like, I don't buy sneakers. Like, yo, Nike just be sending sneakers to my house. Like, I don't give a fuck. And we had a cool conversation, man.
That's just something like your older uncle would say at the barbecue, like, yo, who's your friend over there, bro? Like,
yeah.
He's bringing him, making you feel weird and shit, but like
making me feel fucked up.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's what he reminds me of. He reminds me of his music too, man. Fuck.
Yeah, he was amazing, man. And then at the end of the night, and I have to post this on IG for everybody listening. I went to get a drop, and I'm like, yo, let me get a drop, bro. He's like, oh, no doubt. So, this is, I don't know, 2010. Phone situations were not the greatest or whatever like that. So I hold the phone up to him. And I'm like, all right, it's recording. And he looks and he goes, and he walks away and just starts laughing. And I was like, yo. And then he comes back and he goes, yo, shout out my man MidaZ. He was a really cool, funny dude. And I definitely want to give him his flowers and energy on that because, he was a giant, man. Changed the way, a huge influence on the way I write, huge influence on the way I perform. Learned a lot from studying Sean Price on stage, and he's a luminary. So this would be the moment that I take to just give big rest in peace shout out, big energy to Bernadette, big energy to the whole BCC and everybody. Like, it's fucking Sean Price, bro. He's one of the greatest of all time.
100%. So yeah, this is a unanimous keep for all of us. We obviously got to keep this one in the mix, which means we're now a song short. And again, that wasn't because we weren't feeling these. I think we were just being conservative with our cuts, or with our keeps rather. So,
well, I said Madman. I said keep Madman. You guys voted it out.
So your vote is to keep.
That would have been my 10. I would have had my 10, and then I would have had Monkey Barz as the bonus.
I'd keep Monkey Barz over Mad Men.
Okay, and I agree with that. I'll fuck with you guys on that one. It's between Madman and Monkey Barz.
I'd say it's between Madman and Jail Shit.
Oh yeah,
I mean, excuse me.
Too,
Monkey Barz and Jail Shit. It'd be between Monkey Barz and Jail Shit.
All right,
with my preference being Jail Shit because
okay.
I like that we get a rock and rock thing.
Yeah. All right. I might have to agree with you on that one too, but man, I agree with everybody on everything. I love this whole album, man.
He said I agree with everybody on everything.
Because I love this album. What do you say, Sean?
Mark is the Switzerland of making Illmatic.
Switzerland,
look, whatever anybody wants. Like this is fun.
Yeah, as long as Sean P's album is on this. What do you say?
I guess, hearing, it's funny because this has happened a couple times recently. Sometimes hearing other people's critiques of a song will instantly pull the thread and unravel it for me. And now I can't unhear the inherent slight, with all respect, corniness maybe of the title track.
Yeah,
so I think with that said, and the fact that we also cut the other rock joint, I think my vote would go to Jail Shit if it's between those two.
Okay. So yeah, 2 versus I still say, what was the name of it? Madman. But I definitely agree with the choice of number 10.
Okay,
all right.
So these are our 10 picks then. We got Peep My Words, 1, 2 Y'all, Onion Head, Heartburn, Brokest Rapper You Know, Boom Bye Yeah, I Love You Bitch, Spliff and Wesson, Jail Shit, Rising to the Top. So the question that we have to ask ourselves now, what is the current mic rating on the album in its now newly christened Making Illmatic format?
A 5. I mean, of course, man. This is one of the best albums ever created.
It definitely improves it to me. I mean,
it does.
So I had it at 3.5. I think I'd probably bump it to a 4.5. 4.5. And again, I'm bringing.
Can you do 4.2 or some shit like that?
I mean, we could do whatever the fuck we want. Like nobody, we cleared it. Like nobody's gonna arrest us, come at us, whatever. We're all straight. But yeah, I think no. I mean, I'm gonna keep it to 0.5 integers. I don't want to get too fractional with it here. It definitely increases it. And I think the only thing that maybe prevents it from being a 5 to me is just what I acknowledged was a bit of my own inherent bias, which is that like I really fuck with all this stuff, but I know I don't love all of the boot camp umbrella as much as the most diehard of boot camp aficionados do. So I'm prepared for any of the heat that brings me. I'm not shitting on anybody, but it comes down to personal preference. It's 4.5 for me.
It's tough, man, because I think we just turned it into, there's no fat. There's zero fat now. It's like it's a tough, and for it to be a re-entry into, like, it's interesting. If this same album were the third album that Sean Price put out, it might feel different. But this is the first time that we heard this guy as a solo artist after years of hearing him, and he was better. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a wild, he's got a wild history in that way. I always loop him in with Prodigy, in the sense that you had like Mobb Deep, Prodigy, and then by the time you get to 2007, 8 Prodigy, it's a different Prodigy. It's like, and he's doing these solo albums, but he raps completely different than he did 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And it's just interesting that this is what we got as his reentry, and he just went on this super late career run that he was able to go on. I think I'm going with I might go 4.5 too. Only reason I say that is because as amazing as it is, like when I say 5, when we say 5, and I think we've only turned one record so far. Is it only one? I think it's only one record.
I don't keep a fucking record of this. I probably should, but I know that we did it with the Big Pun album. We did it with Pun.
I think there's only one. We cut Capital Punishment down to 10 songs, and that turned into a 5 micro for us.
No, did we do it with Things Fall Apart? Did we do it with Things Fall Apart? I think at least one of us said that it was a 5 micro.
But I'm only counting unanimous. We all said this is now a 5 micro.
Got it.
And in that case, I think only Pun was the one. And I still wouldn't put this record there,
right,
with the Pun 10 song record. So if I'm looking at it that way, I'll go 4.5.
I'm going to agree on the 4.5, even though I'm super biased and I'm the one who chose this album to talk about. That's why I said 5 immediately. But 4.5 makes sense because is a lot of hard tracks now. You know what I mean? We pick it's like boom by it's like boom, boom, boom. We need something in there besides Heartburn to kind of mellow us out. You know what I mean? To string us along and kind of get in there. So that would be the reason why I do 4.5.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think no matter how we choose to rank it, and numbers truly don't matter, we all agree that it's an amazing record, and now we have improved it by making these cuts. Mark, one last thing I want to ask you is, being such a big head for this album and a big fan, what are the ways, if we kind of zoom back out, what do you think are the most evident ways that this album really shaped all albums that would follow? What's the footprint that Monkey Barz really left on not just Sean Price's career, but hip hop and the landscape as we know it?
That's a deep question, but even MidaZ said it himself that Sean P kind of molded his whole, way of rapping on after. And like I said, I even think that the godfather of our generation right now got a lot from hanging out with Sean P. You know what I mean? So I think that this is truthfully one of the albums that started the Renaissance before the Renaissance. You know what I mean? Since we're in this Renaissance now, and it's only been the last 10 years, this was 5 years prior to that Renaissance. And I think that it definitely molded that. Wordplay, beat choice, talking on the beat, he could talk slowly, but at the same time, every word rhymes. You know what I mean? He's smooth with it. He's talking about his real life. A lot of rappers now talk about hey, I'm fucked up in the game too. You know what I mean? Just touring and making money off pennies off of streaming and stuff like that, and selling merch. There's a lot of way these guys eat right now. And it's not that they're over there driving Lamborghinis. So people are talking the truth. And I think Sean Pri kind of brought that.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, Mark, anything you want to shout out, knowing that this will air sometime between now and the next 2 to 3 months? So, keep
Oh, I get it. Listen, I definitely understand that way of rolling things out, because with my series that I have in Off Top, we have a bunch in the can too. One being the good man on this screen, MidaZ. So we got his episode that's coming out, our Off Top freestyle series, season 8. Yeah. He's definitely going to be a part of that. We have our supply and demand show that we've been holding for the last 4 years, and that's going to be coming at the end of summer. We'll have a big announcement with that. We haven't made any announcements yet. I don't know when this is coming out. I have a big show that I'm doing in Virginia come end of May. I have a pop-up tour that we've been doing. We just did Philly, and we have Reef the Lost Cause, dropping a crazy cypher, and Sadu Gold was there. So now we're going to take our talents to different cities and, highlight some of the gems in each city. And what we kind of come in is going to be like Nick F is going to be a part of this Virginia run, DJ Harrison, Concept Jackson. So really excited about that. Other dudes on Off Top are coming. But definitely MidaZ, I'm really hyped because that shit was crazy, bro.
My brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
We're going to do some more fly shit. So big love, big love.
Thanks for joining us, Mark. We appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, that was fun.